Computer, what's the definition of kindness?
Kindness is usually defined as the state or quality of being kind. I have 3 more definitions for the noun, kindness. 1. A kind act, favor. 2. Kind behavior. 3. Friendly feeling, liking.
Today, we're talking about kindness on the Blind Jedi Vlogs. Welcome in everybody to another edition of the Blind Jedi Vlogs. I am Jason, aka the Blind Jedi, and today we are talking about kindness, being kind. You would think that would be self-explanatory, right? Like, how much do we really need to talk about the word? Dogs just like my voice, I guess. Every time I talk by a fence with dogs, they just bark. We're talking about kindness anyway. Like, why? I thought this would be an easy topic, but actually we're going to get a little deep and personal today when it comes to being kind and how difficult it may be when you're dealing with sight loss. If you're new here, think about hitting that subscribe button and that notification bell so you can be up to date every time I drop another video. And if you like this series, please force push that like button. All right, let's go ahead and get into kindness. We just got done talking about jealousy and how jealousy could be really toxic. Jealousy could also make us angry, right? Fear can make us angry at times. Fear leads to anger, anger leads to hate, hate leads to the dark side. There's a Star Wars analogy for you. Anyway, remember, this channel is all about that quest for positivity, staying one with the Force, and I'm the Blind Jedi. And I kind of pride myself and my morals on being kind. But I would be lying to you if I said I'd never been angry or mad, especially due to my sight loss. My sight loss oftentimes makes me angry. It's one of the things that I'm working on the most, especially as I'm out here in the community, doing what I'm doing right now, holding the camera, walking down a sidewalk, vlogging while using my mobility cane. I'm sure it's going to draw a lot of attention my way. And that's kind of the idea, because one of the things I like to do here is to advocate, right? Educate, advocate, motivate, inspire others. Whoop, there's a tree. And it's really hard to advocate from a point of anger. I've talked about this before. I've actually talked about it a few times on this channel, and it's just actually come up again, but it's a topic that I think needs to be had. I think it's a topic that we need to cover more often. Because naturally you think to be kind is pretty easy, just be nice to people, right? And I know some people have a harder time than others with that. But when you're dealing with the loss, when you're dealing with something that at times can be embarrassing, I suppose, or, you know, kind of make you stand out and make you uncomfortable, you can get irritated. Irritated is another way. Once you're irritated, it could take away the kindness that may be inside you. There's a lot of challenges that come with loss. In our particular case, sight loss. There's a lot of challenges above and beyond the daily stuff, the walking and the reading, and I was just talking about our emotions, right? And emotions can be very hard to control. It really takes a conscious mental effort to control our feelings when it comes to sight loss or any type of loss, right? Even people that deal with severe depression or anything, emotions are extremely hard to control. And when it comes to advocating, we literally have to be in control when we advocate, guys. We cannot take that lightly. So, as we continue this conversation, let's just keep that in mind, right? It's a mental effort. Being kind sometimes can be a mental effort, especially if you're having a bad day. Just completed another long day / long week at work. It's just a reminder, going there every day and working with people that are dealing with sight loss and all the different obstacles that come along with that. Not for me per se, but even for them, right? Because I'm going through the same thing that they're going through. And it reminds me once again about how serious it is to be mindful of how kind we're being to others. Not only because they're dealing with the same thing that we are, I often think about maybe the ones who are not going through what we are going through. I'm going to repeat that because I think it's huge, and I've talked about this so many times here before, and I'm going to talk about it again because that's how important it is to me. To be mindful on how kind we are to those who are not going through what we are going through. As a blind and visually impaired individual, I consider myself as a representative of the community worldwide. Not just my local community, not just here on YouTube, not just in my nation or anything like that, but just in general. I consider myself to be 100% responsible for representing my community in a way that I would like the community to be represented per se. And that's going to be different for everybody. And I'm going to reiterate once again that I'm here giving my perspective and my thoughts about how I deal with sight loss and the way that I think and feel about people who deal with sight loss, right? This is my journey. And I'm looking for positivity, and I'm looking for acceptance, and I'm looking for respect. And I'm just a firm believer that you don't get any type of respect or any type of understanding when you're being rude or mean to somebody. The best analogy I can give, and I've told this story many times. When I went to the eye specialist, as I was at the time losing my career, and I heard for the very first time I heard the words legally blind. I had no idea what the eye specialist was talking about. I thought he was, essentially crazy. I mean, how could I be blind? I could see. It wasn't until that moment, and I had been dealing with sight loss, mind you, for 14 years at this point. 14 years I've been going through sight loss. And I knew I had an eye disease, and I knew all that. But the first time I ever heard the term legally blind, I had no clue. None. Zero. Right? So how am I to expect someone who was dealing with sight loss, someone who knew they had an eye condition, an eye disease, how am I supposed to expect someone who does not have any of these conditions to even remotely know what I'm talking about? Or if they see me walking down the street, holding my mobility cane, holding a camera, vlogging, talking to it, how am I supposed to get them to understand if I'm being mean, or I think that they're not in tune to what's going on in the world because they don't know what it is to be legally blind, or what visual impairment is, or how that whole community operates. And I'm afraid that the more we lash out, and I'm going to throw another disclaimer. I need to throw another disclaimer in there right now. I've lashed out. I have been a rude you-know-what to people. I have acted erratically, primarily due to either jealousy or embarrassment. Primarily embarrassment. On several occasions, people have embarrassed me by their comments and made me feel very uncomfortable at the moment. And instead of taking that opportunity to educate and advocate in a proper way, I've lashed out. I'm guilty of it just as much as anybody else is. I'm going to say that first and foremost. But again, if we don't learn how to learn how to educate and advocate to those who do not understand what it is that we go through, all we're going to do is build a reputation of being angry, privileged, blind people. There is no such thing as privileged blind people, by the way. Some of the things that we're allowed to do and have is not something that's a privilege. It's more of a way to just make things a little bit easier, or make things a little bit more common, and to make us feel like we can do some of these things that other people can do, where we need to adjust, right? Accessibility is the word. But I've said this before, I don't want to be labeled as all blind people or visually impaired people are nothing but angry, rude, and unhappy individuals. That's one of the whole reasons I'm on this quest for positivity. And not only for my personal self, but it's the other reason why I want to spread the word of positivity. Because I want us all to find that happiness, to find that confidence within our sight loss, that we can educate and advocate on a level where people will not only understand and respect what we're saying and doing, but how we are. And it's a lifelong battle. I'm not going to conquer that on my own, and neither are you. And even together, we're going to struggle, and it's going to be hard. And the next generation coming behind us is going to have to continue to do the same thing. If there's one thing I've learned over my lifetime, is this type of change in our world is very rarely reached, if at all. It's something that has to be persistent. We have to try to find different ways to educate and advocate. And again, that follows along exactly what I'm trying to do on this channel. I'm trying to do videos like this where we can talk, and we could talk some of these emotions and some of these situations through and find our positivity inside a negative environment. But as well as I want to create the type of content that will appeal to the sighted, the ones who are not dealing with sight loss. Because let's remember too, I mean, come on, blindness is not the only disability that's out there. We got, mobility disabilities, we got hearing disabilities. There's plenty of people that are dealing with some sort of loss in their life, okay? So there's a lot of people that we could reach. And then as we come together as a large community of people who are dealing with loss, then we are able to reach a wide and broader spectrum on the word disability. Now I know a lot of people don't like the word disability, and then people are going to have words that offend them and words that don't. I feel that disability is an appropriate word if you break it down bit by bit. It's one of the reasons why I labeled the Disney show Disabled. So instead of disabled, it's Diz for Disney, able to do it. It's up to us to take that ability and make it feasible and find a creative way to do it. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go out on these adventures. I'm going to vlog them. I'm going to talk about them. I'm going to use that to help educate, help motivate, help inspire, and just spread the word on my particular loss, which is sight loss. So anyway, I can only do that if I'm genuine and to my core, stay positive, stay happy, and most importantly, be kind. I need to be kind. I need to nurture the idea of what it's like to deal with sight loss, because it's not something that everybody's just going to wake up one day and get or understand. There's going to always be a level of misunderstanding, and in some people, and I've seen it, witnessed it firsthand, some people are just not going to get it. They're not going to understand because they don't live it, and they can't fathom the idea that blindness is something that can still be visual. It's a tough one to sell, and I can admit that. But again, I want to thank everybody who's been watching the videos. Please share the videos. If you're new here, think about hitting that subscribe button and that notification bell so you can be updated every time I drop another video. Join this quest for positivity. Let's make this a mission for everybody to follow, not just people that are dealing with loss. Let's make this a world mission. And because if we stay one with the Force will be with us. That's truly what I believe. I'm a big Star Wars nerd, obviously, but there's a lot of true deep meaning behind it. If you guys want to check out, dig back into my videos, you'll see the video what Star Wars means to me, or why I'm such a fan of Star Wars, and it'll break it down a little bit how I view Star Wars and why I relate to it so much. But if you like these videos and you like the series that I'm doing, push that like button. Let's move up the algorithm. Let's continue to get the word out there about the quest for positivity, being one with the Force. And until next time, you stay one with the Force, and the Force will be with you always.